Om Sai Ram. Good evening, everybody. Today I'm going to share my blessed and divine experience with our Sai Baba. He always makes his presence felt. It's up to us to recognize it and be full of gratitude towards him. My story with him starts about 15 years back. At that time, I never used to believe in him. But somehow my sister and my brother-in-law were his ardent devotees. And there was a time when I was pursuing my post-graduation that due to some dirty games being played by my colleagues, I had a very grave misunderstanding with my mentor. And it was like that probably I could not have pursued my course and I had to discontinue it. I still remember that evening vividly. I was so damn scared to go home. My parents were not keeping well at that time, and I was just thinking that how am I going to break that news to them that maybe I may have to discontinue with my post-graduation. I started from Safdarjung Hospital, and then I remembered that Baba Sai was sitting in Lodi temple. So he pulled me towards him. I went and attended evening aarti. I didn't know what did it mean. I just know that I clapped when everybody clapped. I moved in circles when everybody was moving in circle. And I was just crying. And then I sat and listened to some bhajans after that. And I was just looking at Baba that if you are there, please do some miracle. But I didn't get any indication. And with a heavy heart, I started from my home. And it was those days when mobile had just come into a routine use. So I remember I was standing at a red light, just one red light prior to my home, and I was dreading going home and thinking of, dreading breaking the this not so good news to my parents, when suddenly I got a call on my mobile from my mentor. And wonder of wonders, he told me that all misunderstanding has been cleared, and he got to know that it was some prank played by my colleagues who were jealous of me, and he apologized and he told me to resume my duties from the next day. I can't tell you, I didn't know what to do. I was crying and laughing at the same time. And when I went home, I was just as normal as I could be, and it was the response, the feeling was so overwhelming that Baba came in this form, and I really don't know what happened, how it happened, but I know that he saved me. And it was only few days later that I could sum up control myself to share this experience with my parents. The blessings I had with him didn't stop there. I remember when I had to appear in my final exam, I had to submit, my hall ticket had not come. And it was like that probably I would be delayed by a few months to take up my exams. When suddenly I got the hall ticket, but there was a rider that I had to submit my thesis within 24 hours. And it was a Saturday night that I got the message, and it was Sunday, and all of Yusufsarai was where usually this printing and typing business is done, that was all closed. And I went from pillar to post, from every shop to shop, all were closed and all refused, and they said that they would open on Monday, and it normally takes about 2 to 3 working days to get the thesis copies ready. And somehow I went on, and there was somebody guided me to a house which was little inside. So I went there, and it was like the owners they had the shop on the ground floor, and they were residing on the first floor. And there was errand boy standing there, and I asked him that I want to get my thesis printed. He said that this is not possible because they are closed for that day. But somehow I told him that please, if he could go up and tell his owners that if they could oblige me by doing this favor. He went, and while I was waiting, I was standing there, and suddenly I saw a large size baby, Baba's photo standing on the wall. And I knew that my Baba had arrived before me here, and I knew that my work is going to be done. So when the owner came down, I requested him. He refused initially. As I was about to go out, he saw the Baba's ring that I normally used to wear on my finger, and he said, "Are you Baba's devotee?" I said, "Yes." Then he said, "Then I cannot refuse you." And he told me that he took my thesis and he promised me to return the 3 copies that I needed to submit at National Board by the next day afternoon. And true enough, he gave the copies at 2 p.m. and I could submit at 3 p.m. to National Board, 1 hour before the closing time of 4 p.m. And that's how I qualified to appear in my final exams. This was so again a very overwhelming experience, and everybody was surprised and shocked that how could it be, because normally the rush is so that these people, shopkeepers, are just not ready to oblige anybody like that. Then my experience with Baba continued. I prayed to him, and whenever I needed or whenever I wanted, I had a wish to see him, he would arrive in some form on the car's window, or there would be an idol sitting on the dashboard. And then I remember that when I appeared for my super speciality entrance exam, and I wanted to pursue the course in Delhi itself, but somehow none of the centers were recognized, and I wanted to do it at the center that I was working, and that center also got disqualified that year, and I had to opt for a seat in Mumbai. And as I gave a notice, and I started packing my things from there, and just with a heavy heart, because I didn't want to leave Delhi, as my parents were not keeping that fine, and I, being a very homesick person, I didn't want to go out of Delhi. And I still remember that day, that it was a Friday, and I had booked tickets for Rajdhani on Saturday evening so that I could join the new place at Mumbai on Monday. And it was on Friday evening that I went to say goodbye to my guide, and suddenly he said, "For what?" I said, "I have to go, sir, because it's my last day today and I have to join there on Monday." He said, "But why don't you look at the facts which has come from Nirvan Bhavan?" And it was so very shocking that there was a fact that I had been, as an exceptional case, I had been allowed to pursue my course in that hospital, which I wanted as an exception, and whatever technicalities were there, they made it, they said the protocol can follow for the subsequent years, but since this was late in the day, so they were obliged to allow me to continue my course here, and there was an agreement from National Board itself, and it was just at the last moment that I stayed back in Delhi, which was a dream come true, and I had never thought that would be possible. So Baba is there. We just have to trust him. We just have to have patience, and he'll be there. He'll continue to be there. And I just hope that he keeps loving all of us, keeps blessing all of us, and that's how we'll be able to go through this cycle of life. Om Sai Ram.